Hello and welcome to another Easy Odds European Championship daily tipping video. We're on day 3 now.
Classic.
Day 3, right?
Day 4.
Day 4. Well,
Day
yeah,
4.
of course.
Day 3 has been and gone, of course.
Of course, and we've so far won every tip.
Tip.
It's incredible. We're so good at this. Okay, well let's get started. First game is Spain versus Czech Republic. That's the first game. That's an absolutely beastly game of couple of games today actually. Spain versus Czech Republic. Just check it on my Easy Odds Euros 2016 app actually.
Recommended.
And it's actually really quite good. The first game, Spain versus Czech Republic. Who are the favourites first? I'm assuming it's Spain.
It's Spain, yeah. Of course, they're going for an unprecedented hat-trick of European Championship wins. That would be an absolutely incredible feat if they manage it. And they may well do. Third favourites currently in the outright betting. Favourites here to beat Czech Republic. Best price 1 to 2 if you fancy short price Spain win. Maybe throw it into an Aki rather than just a straight up.
I'm sure that's what a lot of people will be doing.
1 to 2, unless you're a big stake better, then maybe you really fancy a Spain win. Played at 2 o'clock in the humid heat of Toulouse.
Yep.
I'm sure that the Spanish players will probably be better equipped to play in that humidity rather than the Czech Republic players. But yeah, it's a little surprise that they're favourites to win. They topped their group after conceding just 3 goals. The one loss that they did suffer in qualifying was a surprise 2-1 loss to Slovakia. That was not long after a really disappointing 5-1 loss to Holland in the World Cup, which I'd forgotten about until I did a bit of research into this.
Oh yeah, so right.
I couldn't remember that for the life of me, but that's probably why they had a bit of a hangover from the World Cup. But they put that to one side. Got better and better, only letting 3 goals, as I said, in qualifying, so it's a little surprised that they're 1 to 2 to win here. However, they did lose to Georgia in their final warm-up game, which is bizarre. If anyone backed Georgia to win that game, then well played, sir. I'll buy you a beer.
Yeah. You know a lot about football.
Absolute legend. That of course will concern a few, but it was a friendly in which not all the first team players were playing. It's the last game before the European Championships. I'm sure there was quite a few people who were trying to maybe just duck out a few tackles. It's more just trying to get through the game rather than looking at the results too much. So I can absolutely understand why Spain are favourites to win the game. If you do fancy Czech Republic, then you can get 15 to 2, which is their best price. The worst price is 6 to 1, so you can squeeze a bit more value out of it by using Easy Odds. But my recommended bet here, Jake, is actually Spain to win to 0.
Okay.
27 to 20. So not only are we backing Spain to win the game, but we're also backing them not to let in a goal either. Defensively, they were just brilliant in qualifying, as I said. Only 3 goals conceded in 10 games. That's mightily impressive, especially when you consider that they let in 2 goals in that one game that they lost to Slovakia. So that's only one goal let in 9 games apart from that game. So I'd argue that Ramos and Piqué are probably the best pairing on paper in the whole championships. Of course, there's a slight caveat to that in that they seem to absolutely hate each other from their club rivalries.
Yeah.
But they're professionals and they should put that to one side and trying to complete this amazing treble that they're trying to get.
Like John Terry and Wayne Bridge did.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, there's not any Shakira swapping involved. But yeah, I think that they'll be okay here, and I think that they'll win to 0. They scored just 1 goal in 4 attempts against Spain, the Czech Republic, and despite being a pretty decent attacking force in recent weeks and months, they have had blips. They've fired blanks against Turkey and Scotland. Failing to score against Scotland is a big glaring error on their form guide to me. And I think another bonus is the humidity there. It's supposed to be around 65% humidity in Toulouse on Monday. So
that's interesting.
I think that's going to be key. And also when you take into consideration of like recent results, how I was saying about the Georgia score, previous to that Georgia loss, they beat South Korea 6-1. Spain did, so that's not bad at all. And Czech Republic played them the week after and actually failed to beat them. They actually lost 2-1. So that shows the kind of gulf when matched up against similar teams. Well, it's that same team that there is here. I just think that the Czech Republic will struggle to score against this tough Spanish defence in that heat as well. So Spain to win to 0, 27 to 20 best price.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm happy with that. 27 to 20, Spain to win to 0. They've got a good defence. There's no Shakira swapping.
No Shakira swapping.
Next match, one of the home nations, kind of Ireland versus Sweden. Huge game, hugely important for Ireland. They need to get something out of this, don't they? Obviously?
Yeah, this is the game that they must pinpoint and think, well, this is the match that we need to try and win to try and qualify.
Sweden are in the exact same position.
Because, of course, yeah, the other teams in this group are Italy and Belgium, two of the more fancied teams in the group. So it's interesting that this match is first up for both teams, as the pressure is on both of them here. And the bookies have installed Sweden as favourites, and I think that's in large part thanks to their 3-0 win over Wales just last week in that friendly. Best price 6-4, and they did smash them 3-0, and that made people pretty aware of their potential. They've got a lot of players who've come through the under 21 side who did really well in the tournament last season, last summer. So they've kind of got a nice mix there of balanced professionals like Kim Kallstrom and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who have played Champions League football for years and years and years, as well as these kind of young whippersnappers. So they're a nicely balanced side. Eric Hamren is the manager there. They've actually lost just one of the last 10 games, so you can understand, I guess, why they're favourites to win here on paper. But despite the fact that the four-time result market is in their favour, Ireland are certainly no pushovers. You have to look at just... whereas Wales went into that game against Sweden with 1 win in 7, like pretty poor form, Ireland are coming into this one with a loss of just 2 losses in the last 10 games. One of those is that game against Belarus, which they played a pretty makeshift team and lost 2-1 to Belarus, and that was the game where Roy Keane admitted that he wanted to kill a few of his players.
I remember that.
Which is a fair comment.
Pretty normal guy.
So yeah, I think this is going to be closer than the odds suggest. I can see why Sweden have been made favourites, but I think Ireland have been dealt a little bit of a harsh hand there. 5-2 best price for Ireland to win this game. As I said, they really do need to push forward and try and win this game.
Yeah.
Which is why, in my recommended bet, I'm going to go for both teams to score here. I think that's a really nice price at 6-5. Odds on is both teams not to score, and I can understand why in thinking that perhaps because it's such an important game, it will be quite cagey. But I just think that these two teams need to attack this game, and an early goal will do this tip for us wonders because it will really open up the game as well. But as I said, Belgium and Italy are the other side, so they really need to put everything into this game to try and win the game. That applies to both teams, obviously. And in my opinion, that will open the game up. Ireland have only failed to net once in the last 14 games, so they score goals pretty much every single time that they play. And Sweden have only failed to score once in the last 11. So both sides are teams that score goals on the regular. And both teams to score at 6-5, I think, is a really good price. Sweden had a really good defensive record in qualifying and had 2 clean sheets on the bounce in their warm-up games. But Shane Long and Ireland come into this game with Shane Long's really good form at the end of the Premier League season, which meant that I think Tottenham are looking at him for next season because of the goals that he was scoring, and he carried that on in the warm-up games. He scored against Holland.
He'll be a nice sub for Tottenham.
He'll be a nice sub for Tottenham. Yeah. So yeah, I just think that these two teams score on the regular, and they're in a game that they have to try and push forward and win. I think both teams to score is a really nice price at 6-5.
Yeah, I completely agree. Even if I didn't know any of those stats, if you're just thinking that they're both going to have to attack, if one of the teams, unless it's 0-0, if one of the teams scores, the other one's going to attack like mental.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Really, really fingers crossed for an early goal on either side because it'll just open up the game, won't it?
Yeah. If John Walt was injured.
John Walt was his touch and go which is annoying because he was my 5-1 tip as top scorer in the Ireland team, and if he makes it, I think he's got every single chance.
Yeah, John Walt was against Zlatan, and that's a matchup made in heaven.
That's a match made in heaven. Very similar players.
Very, very similar players. Next up, we've got the big game, the biggest game of the day, probably the biggest game of the tournament so far. Belgium versus Italy.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Italy have a lot of first game big games, don't they? Like they played England in the first game.
Yeah, let's not mention that game.
Nope. Okay, Belgium versus Italy.
Yeah, massive game in Group E. We've just talked through the two sides that are less likely to win the group. Mm-hmm. Now, it's a meeting of the two sides that are shooting out to try and win the group, really looking at this logically. However, Belgium have been made favourites here. Best price 8-5.
Okay.
They had a pretty decent qualifying campaign. They topped their group with 7 wins out of 10. And then they followed that up with wins over Italy, Switzerland and Norway since then. that squeezed in between. They had that disappointing draw against Finland at home and a loss to Portugal away, 2-1 loss. So they're kind of a mix and match, but I think I can actually see why they are favourites to win here, because they did beat Italy last year, just about 8 months ago now. Beat them 3-1 in Belgium. So I can see why they have been made favourites ahead of only really just though. Italy are a little bit behind them at 11-5, so it's not a huge difference in the odds.
Nice.
8-5 to 11-5. So yeah, if you do fancy Italy to win this game because of Belgium's kind of mess up against Finland, where they managed to only draw at home, that could be a sign that perhaps they aren't quite ready for the big time. But I'm going to go with Belgium here. I think Belgium are a decent price, 8-5 to win the game. As I've already mentioned, they've already beaten them about eight months previous. Granted, it was a friendly and they were at home, but they beat them 3-1 pretty handsomely. In a friendly pretty soon after that as well, they then beat France in France.
Okay.
So that proves the quality that they do have. In my opinion, Italy are going to play on the back foot here. Belgium are going to be the team that are expected to win. And Italy are just brilliant in defence. They've got their back four that is just basically the Juventus back four of Barzagli, Bonucci and Chiellini, backed up by Gigi Buffon in goal, and defensively they're really, really good. Mm-hmm. But I do think that Belgium can finally just about break them down. They're a team full of goals across the squad. They've got a ridiculous squad on paper, the amount of players going forward in particular. Their defence is the worry for me for Belgium, but going forward isn't the problem for me. So playing a team like Italy, I think eventually they'll have the quality to break them down. Scored 21 goals in the last 9 games, whilst Italy have actually conceded in the last 12 months to Azerbaijan, Romania and Norway, so they're not indestructible. Mm-hmm. And they've also lost to Portugal, Belgium and Germany in the last 12 months as well, so that kind of proves to me that they can't quite hang with the better teams. So I think Belgium to win at 8-5 is my best bet there.
I think that is a good set of bets for me. They're really going to. Apparently they might start Thomas Vermaelen at centre back.
Yeah, that, as I said, defence is my worry.
Last time he played, 2010. They're missing company. No, they would look all right defensively if they had full fitness company. But yeah, so just quickly go through the tips again.
Absolutely. So the early game, Spain against Czech Republic, I'm backing Spain to win to nil there at 27-20. Mm-hmm. The middle game, 5 o'clock, I'm going for both teams to score when Ireland play Sweden. Yep. And finally, I'm going for Belgium to come good in the evening game and beat Italy at a best price of 8-5.
I like them a lot. Rossi.
Not a bad treble, eh?
No. Not bad at all.
Yeah, thanks very much for watching. Those are my 3 tips. Don't forget that all of my tips, every single match will be tipped on the Easy Odds app as well as the desktop and mobile site. So make sure, if you are an app user, to download the app, which is now available on Android and iOS. And thanks very much for watching. This has been Jake Johns. I'm Ross Casey. Make sure that you click on that watermark down the bottom corner and subscribe to our channel. Thanks very much for watching. We've been Easy Odds, and come on England!
We're going to win. We don't need luck.